Greeks. France. Okay. So this would be world builders. And then separately, it'd be Atlantis of the Sands, lost city of Ubar. So I would bring it up on screen, but there's not much to show. So I think it's around Iran. Oh no, Yemen. Actually, they had an image of it somewhere. Yemen, Oman, Yemen. Okay, it's not clear where. Well, that was helpful. Yeah, something around Dhofar, Oman, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, something like that. I thought it was like Iran. I saw Iran somewhere. Anyway, I'm just trying to confuse everybody. Anyway, not that it matters. It's not there anyway. So, it's something to connect to. It's basically like the Atlantis of the desert, which is definitely a high possibility. Just because I was going to connect to Sirius. I'm not sure how this whole Atlantis of the Sands even showed up. So, but Atlantis has a strong connection to Sirius. So just go from we'll just see what we got. Atlantis has a lot of issues, obviously. Yeah, we're living it. You guys are seeing how low they can go. We're demonstrating that currently. Yeah. I would say things will energetically change for a lot of people that don't want this reality or don't need it or don't care or just don't. I think on an energy, those that are not part of a cult, the ones that are part of a cult and they know everything, that they're going to be on that ride for a while. But those that are more independently minded and just put the ego out, let the ego out the door. And there's quite a few out there for sure. Imagine many don't know who I am, but it doesn't really matter. But I just take an energy shift of just kind of getting more of what you want. Maybe not, maybe on an individual level, maybe on an energetic level. Of just feeling some prospects here, because a lot of times it's kind of like a lost cause being here. It's like the world's just stuck. It's doing a pretty good job of that. But on an energy level, I feel like there will be some energy improvements throughout this year. Those that are evolving on a higher level. Not that you're better than anybody, but just, you never really were part of this reality to begin with. So, yeah, obviously a lot of souls are trapped here, but some of them just need this. They'll go on and on and on, and that's fine. That's their deal. Yeah, obviously there is a spiritual war, of course, but you have to focus on that. It's not necessarily on yourself. I mean, it can to a certain level, but it is mostly about society, because society just can't seem to figure itself out. Can't get itself out of the bubble. So we're here to kind of pop the bubble, kind of, not, well, in a nice way, because it can be very stressful in the right way. Let's put it that way. Because it's such a toxic energy out there. So the news cycles, the political things, like, geez, same old, who cares? So I'm talking Karmic processions. I have a scheduler. I have a shop here. So yeah, there will be some kind of change eventually, gradually, as usual. Nothing too dramatic. We can't handle dramatic. Doesn't mean the aliens will show up. If they did, they'll probably start crying like everybody else that's doing that. They'll probably start criticizing, get their own news show, and just start yelling at everybody. Great. Yeah, that's all we need. We need more of that. So the world builder energy should be self-explanatory. Just connected to it randomly, and just imagine many out there can kind of connect with that or have some familiarity. So the world builders that built this place, yeah, they built the world and then went backwards. Well, yeah, we got as close to the lower realms as they could, uh, just for soul growth, for uh, curiosity, whatever it might be. Well, because it was built to do it, so might as well, right? If it's capable of it, of course, then it gets trapped and it gets this and that. But it's the higher dimensions have to learn this stuff. I mean, this is a school for the higher realms because the higher realms doesn't have all the answers. The lower realms don't have the answers either. So you kind of come, in the middle, maybe. Yeah, it's just a school. Not the easiest one, that's for sure. Not supposed to be. And yeah, some of these cult leaders, these huge spiritual people, I imagine a lot of them are possessed by who knows what entity or demonic being or whatever entity or alien or whatever it might be. It doesn't mean it has to be off world, but it's, taking humanity for a ride, nothing new there. They're going to create a new religion. Obviously, they're already doing it, but yeah, just it's weird seeing it. On YouTube of all places. You think, and YouTube's been taking down some of my videos too. Not dramatically, so, but geez, channel's still around for now. So, all right. So yeah, go tread lightly, obviously. Jeez. Yeah, I've been doing that for a long time, but that matters. Okay. All right, going to World Builder Energy and then to Atlantis of the Sand, City of Ubar, however you pronounce that. So, blessings. Greetings, world builders. Our connections, well, there's many different types of world builders. There is a strong connection also to the Elohim. So just like anything else, like you build a house or of course, a world is a lot more complicated, but just like a house, how would you want to live? So same thing with the world, just the world. So like for a house, if you had a large family, how would you accommodate that? Also, you need resources, you need schools and so on. So if you take your schools and you take your grocery stores, you put it into a home, that's kind of like your world basically, right? So when you have a planet, there's all these different alien beings. Arcturians are one of them. There's millions or trillions, however you want to word it, that are curious of, they build a platform. You can say like your social media, you can say, is a good example of that too. Obviously, well, this is like a world. So it's a world within a world, your social media, to give you some prospects of that. Or it's like a town center, it's getting more digital. The world's getting more AI. Always, it is slowly getting more aware of the higher dimensions. We'll just jump into this real quick. But it's also introduced. It's like the birth of AI hasn't fully. AI is always going to have difficulties fully forming here. Of course, you see that through people, as people here are very robotic. So the AI is actually working through them. And the people that are robotic can easily be an AI entity, no doubt, because they are already acting the role. So you can just take their consciousness and plug it into a computer, and there you go. They just have to be able to take orders from others. Or they can live independently and be like a rogue type being. You don't have to name it that way, but they can just wander around and do whatever, but they're still part of the system. So of course you can get tired of being a ghost in the machine or an entity within the machine, and you want out, and then you become a human. It's like, okay, now you're back in the human. Are you going to like treat it better? Are you going to be more independent? Or just going to be lazy and waste it away as you did before? So, but social media is a world within a world. You can say your town centers were like that also, but this is different because your social media is worldwide. So you're giving an idea of the consciousness. Of course, there's going to be manipulation. There's always manipulation. Any kingdom, it's like your Facebooks, your Twitters. That's all a kingdom basically. And it has a ruler, and it has directors there. It's always going to have some kind of rules, regulations, corruption. It's just going to happen in a world like this. It's not. You can say it's necessary. But it's a teacher like anything else. It gives you an idea of the consciousness, and it does feel toxic, is because a lot of souls here have not released their toxic energy. They live off of drama. Well, they can't live off themselves because they're too terrified to connect to themselves, so they connect to everybody else. It's like toxic, drama through politics. It's candy to stay away from yourself. You're not ready to really go, inside, see their past incarnation, see their dark side, release their dark side, or whatever you want to do, become aware of it, even to, really advance yourself. Yes, open up your intuitive abilities, if there are any. If there's not, that's okay. Also, you become more calmer within yourself. Like you just calm down. Or because chaos here is kind of like a race. It's kind of like you get in your car and you go as fast as you can, or your bike, or whatever it might be with toxic energy. It's like, who can be the most toxic being here? It's not everybody, but the families are pretty good at it. Some family entities are like creatures. I mean, some of you are not part of that. You may have been born in that creature family. Doesn't mean you are a creature. I guess everybody is at a certain level, but it doesn't mean you're part of that kind of succubus frequency. But there's a lot of it out there. Well, they're not ready to connect to themselves individually. They're just not ready for it yet. Some are. Like the more miserable you are, that probably means the more independent you are. The more happy you are, probably, is you're probably sucked in by the system. And ignorance is bliss. As for world building, there are worlds, of course, that are calm, quiet, and you need those. But then worlds like yours, you need few of them, but it is necessary. Because also the entities that are involved with your world's creation go through the karma itself. Because you're creating a world of violence, basically, and you're kind of responsible for that to a certain level. So it's like it is a karmic bond with your planet. Those that help develop it. Of course, your social media is getting very sensitive on that subject matter. They should talk because they profit off of that type of subject matter, violent energies. So it's quite humorous there. Well, it's like they can be the conspiracy beings, but you can't be. So because they're putting out a energy of fiction, and you're just theorizing, not really trying to be, you can obviously connect to many truths. You can't prove it, but it's good to question everything. It's good to just have an open mind, question everything. Why not? But obviously your narrative doesn't like that because they have their own agenda of removing you if they must. But not always. Yeah, you can get those to protect you. But as for world building energies, just realize when you're part of that world building experience, you're going to be involved with it till its end, its beginning and end. No matter what, you can be on this planet being a cashier. Yeah, that could have been the biggest mistake ever, creating another planet or it's like this one. Maybe a cashier somewhere in Sirius or on Pluto or wherever. And just take it as low-key life as you can, but you're still involved with your creations. Well, it's curiosity, it's growth for yourself. Sometimes you can grow too much, so you keep asking for assistance here, as they do on this world. but this world is necessary. It might not have the best. Well, it's just like it's like it's raining constantly, low frequencies, and humanity just doesn't know how to turn off the shower. Many of you know how to, but you turn it off for yourself, but it's still raining next door. You can still feel it everywhere else, and that's the problem. It's raining from the darker realms, and the darker realms is just as lost as humanity itself. They might feel like they know everything, but that's about where it ends. You might know everything, but what are you doing with yourself or nothing? Usually they have some kind of boss, some kind of entity controlling them. So yeah, they might have this vast knowledge that is useful for you, and that's all they got. They don't have their individual self. As you have like at your work situations, you have a boss, you have CEOs, you have this. That's what they have in the lower dimensions. The higher dimensions, not so much. No, I mean they have councils, but it's really more free. The lower dimensions, they need a boss, and you're stuck there. So it's not. They might have all this vast knowledge, which is helpful. But once again, it's not as what it's cracked up to be. I mean, it's good to have that, but once again, a lot of them lose their identity. As some of you might feel you lose your identity, your own job, life, and so on. So, green seal, or entities as of Atlantis, the city of Ubar. There are many offshoots of Atlantean knowledge, lost for good reason, of just basically kind of breaking cosmic law, you can say, violating human rights of the past and now, but definitely of the past, of just going too far. And of course, Atlantis, city of Ubar, which was called something different in the past, was of utopian realities. But as you know, once you go, it must go down. Well, that was the whole point, was to bring it up to a higher frequency and then to destroy it. And some of you have had experiences there in those situations, not just Atlantis, but other places. Now, that doesn't mean you live in Atlantis, you're the one to take it down, but there's others that are there to do it, just like anything else. Like you have your corporations that, set up society and then die. Your Walmart it is parasitic, no doubt. It's feeding off humanity. Humanity has not quite graduated from that reality yet. Well, to connect more to yourselves, to have higher quality food, living. Does society want that? No, because it has to go through its current environment. So you can't have a higher frequency. It doesn't have to be too high, but higher. Basically, at a higher, even like a sixth, you can be at the sixth dimension and not be lost. You can still be, aware of light and dark, and so because you can go to higher dimensions and forget about the lower dimensions, and it's kind of like resetting yourself, and you just forget what the lower realms are like. Of course, there's lower realms in all realities, but you can forget depending on what you experience, but you can still stay smart. And the sixth dimension is one place you can do that. There's other places too. We're just keeping it general. But for the Atlantean experience, was truly you can see it was designed to take you to the highest peak, a version of it, not the highest, but close enough, and to take it all down, because to build up society, DNA, yes, and then of course they violated it constantly. And that's pretty much was their death sentence, was to mess with humanity too much. When they first started to do it, it was okay to have some experimentation, but then they just went further and further, connecting humans to animals, and cutting, creating different creature beings. It was kind of like it was really getting out of hand. Of course, you see that in mythology to a certain level. Without going into all the details of it, I think you have some idea of it. And you have creature beings here now A lot of them are actually vampires, but they're here in the human form. He said that vampire was created here during Atlantean time. Of course, it's connected. It's always been around to some level. It does originate in Sirius, but of course, there's different versions everywhere. It's basically, of course, they don't have some do have fangs, but they don't have. Oh, they're not floating around, things like that. They're in human form. Of course, you might sense they're floating around in astral or something like that. Probably your vampire is probably more of your, more difficult beings here because, they soul suck you dry. And they are connected to the family frequencies. A lot of it is insecurity, not always, or those that just want, you know, to go after the ignorant, basically. For them to get high, they get high off other beings' energy. For Ubar, or however you want to pronounce it, Atlantis of the Sands, that was a lot more calmer than Atlantis itself. Of course, Atlantis was calm, but as Atlantis became more toxic, while his other Atlantean offshoots stayed calm. But they're involved with Babylon being created. But, once Atlantis started becoming so dark, other places kind of followed that direction. Not every place around the world had to go through that, but some needed to have that experience. Well, because it was too advanced for your modern society, because your modern society was already, the idea of it was already planned even back then. Not to every detail, but eventually technology will find itself to you again. They weren't really sure when, but they had some idea. Not to all of the details you have now. Of course, there are entities that didn't have a clear idea, but they're more of the higher frequencies and less connected to your world, so they don't interfere too much. You always have a watcher. The watchers there can see it all, but they can't interfere with your reality. Like, you can see the future very clearly, but they can't share that with you. If you're in spirit, obviously everyone can see it to a certain level, but these are watcher beings that are more fourth dimension. And yeah, think about that. Think if you're a watcher, you can see the future of this earth easily, or all the possibilities. You still have an idea, but entities from your world cannot access them. They might try, but they can't get anywhere. Give you some insight into that. Those things.